some days you're gonna win. They say some days you're gonna lose. I tell you, I got news for you. You're losing all the time, you never win. No. If you believe that's how it's gonna be, I better put you down. Your reputation, but you're coming out on the ground. You gotta save me now. You better turn around. And I looked around. I was heading down. Oh, somebody throw me down the line. This is some days you gotta give. This is some days you gotta take. That's the way it's gotta be. Roll it over and you will see. The city streets are full of people going nowhere, making time. To change from night to day is really only out just along the line. Can't you see the sign? And I looked around, I was heading down. Won't somebody throw me down the line?
Ugh. 9/12. It's our Friday for most of us. It's the night of the Alton fireworks. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday morning. I know that I am. Man, life has been good the last 24 hours. Before we do news, Paul Nicolussi is going to join us on the show, County Board member, District 23 up in Collinsville and Maryville. But, this was really cool. So yesterday, I'm getting ready to leave, and, a couple weeks ago, this company sent me a thing. It's like it's a international database of all the podcasts throughout the world that are. It's a really official thing, and it's been pretty good. So yesterday I get this email from them, and they said your rankings are in. We jumped to the 10th percentile, like the top 10% of podcasts internationally. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know what happened the last couple of days, and then I get another update. We're in this, like the top 7% around the world. You aren't going to believe it, and I'm not expecting you to. I can show you the stats, but we have a thing on this thing where I, track, some of the others around the St. Louis Metro East, blowing them out of the water, and it's because of all of you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm on cloud 9. Like, I'm ready to start this 3-day weekend today. We're up another 30,000 in rank. Life's easy, and it's just incredible to see this. So thank you for being a part of the ride. Thank you for welcoming me back live into the studio on just such a hell of a high note. And, man, we got a good show for all of you guys today. So excited to be talking to Paul and getting the latest out of Madco politics, really. And then in the 10 o'clock hour, it's you, me, and the four walls, and we'll see what else we can do here in the 618. We'll take you to top of the hour news now. Here's what you need to know on this Thursday morning. And it comes right out of Granite City first. A woman has been sentenced to 15 years for a decade-long arson and insurance fraud scheme. Here's what we know. Yvette Betty Osgubi, 62 of Granite City, was sentenced to 15 years in a federal prison for orchestrating a series of arsons and insurance frauds spanning from 2014 to 2023. Found guilty on all 15 counts by an East St. Louis jury, she conspired to commit mail-in wire fraud, arson, and used fire to further federal felonies. She exploited vulnerable victims, including an intellectually disabled individual, to acquire property and insurance payouts. Her actions endangered communities. They caused property damage and health hazards. Co-defendant Rufus Jefferson pled guilty earlier. Authorities, including the ATF, emphasized the severity and the dangers of these crimes, and they pledged ongoing efforts to combat such schemes. And also in the news, Kelsey Graham, 34 of Alton, is facing felony charges, including aggravated battery after allegedly attacking occupants in a Marine residence on June the 20th. Authorities say she pushed an elderly victim to the ground and grabbed another by the neck. Graham has been released pre-trial with conditions prohibiting contact with the victims and entry to that Marine home. And now in a separate case, also in Alton, 20-year-old Tamadre Bollinger of Alton has been charged with burglary for allegedly entering a Wood River building on the 24th of June, intending to commit theft. Bollinger was also on pretrial release, and both individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Defenseman Dakota Mermis, right here from Alton, signed a 2-year contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs worth around $1.6 million. Now this deal was announced on the 1st of July and will keep Mermis with the team through the 26-27 NHL season, carrying an annual cap hit of $812,000. Now at 31 years old, Mermis joins Toronto as an unrestricted free agent with base salary set at $775,000 for the 2025-26 season and $850,000 for the 2026-27 season. He also played 78 NHL games across several teams, including Arizona, New Jersey, Minnesota, and now with Toronto. Mermis made his NHL debut in 2017 and has already shown steady contributions on defense throughout his career. Also in the news, the Village of Maryville set to host its annual fire department homecoming in a couple of days, July 11th and the 12th at the Maryville Fire Department and Fireman's Park. The weekend will feature parades, carnival rides, games, food, and drink vendors, along with live music performances by bands like those two, the Blue Marlin Band and the Heaton Brothers, along with Shotgun Creek. This year's theme, Looney Tunes. They'll bring cartoon characters in for that parade and festivities. Mayor Wayne White joined us on the show a couple of days ago and highlighted that all participants are volunteers dedicated to giving back to the community. Really good conversation if you missed it. Funds raised supported the fire department's equipment needs. Plans are underway to build an entertainment pavilion for future events. That's something we've been talking with the Troy Chamber and with Mayor White. And it should be ready by spring of 2026. Residents and visitors alike are encouraged to join in on this celebration July 11th and the 12th and experience the welcoming spirit of Maryville. Edwardsville secured a generous $1.35 million donation from the Edwardsville Community Foundation, gifted by the David Kriege family. Known for their 91-year legacy with the hardware store, the funds are dedicated to enhancing the quality of life in the city throughout 3 main projects: building an all-abilities playground, developing the Crocker Gardens Park, and improving green space at Gerber Road and Governor's Parkway. Additionally, $45,000 has been allocated for historic preservation project pending City Council approval. City officials and the community expressed deep gratitude for that transformative gift that will benefit Edwardsville for generations to come. And finally in the news today, Gordon Moore Park in Alton has become a popular destination for pickleball enthusiasts since opening its state-of-the-art courts in May. Funded mainly by Alton Township, the facility boasts modern amenities like shade structures and an automatic external defibrillator, enhancing visitor comfort and safety. Now, after that temporary closure caused by a sinkhole, players initially moved to nearby courts in Godfrey, Cottage Hills, and Bethalto. The park, it recently hosted its 4th annual Pickleball League, reopening, bringing 32 players together and supporting local charities. Community members are optimistic that the improved courts will encourage more players to return and strengthen the local pickleball scene, but the pickleball courts at Gordon Moore have reopened. And that's a look at what's happening around the Riverbend this morning. Let's take a look at weather, shall we, my friends? It's going to be a hot one today, to be honest with you. I don't even know if you want me to talk about it. Right now, it's 82 degrees in downtown Alton, and it feels like it's hot. It feels like it's 96 degrees. Humidity at 71%. Today, plenty of sunshine. Tonight, clear and humid. And for air quality, right now it's at 51, which is moderate. So if you're having some issues, might as well step inside for the day. Grass, mold, ragweed, and tree levels are all in that low category, so nothing to report there. Temperatures reach 90 degrees today. They'll drop down to around 69 as we head into the 4th of July. On Friday the 4th, a high of 92, a low of 70. On Saturday, a high of 92, a low of 73. And then on Sunday and Monday, we're going to see temperatures drop just a tad. On Sunday, a high of 85, a low of 70. And on Monday, the 7th of the 7th month, party day, a high of 84 and a low of 68 degrees. That's a look at the next 5 days, my friends. Here's what's happening now. It's 81 degrees in the 618. It feels like 96 out there. For time and temperature throughout the day, 618-465-4545. This time powered by Bounce Back, Rehab, Recover, and return home. You can also stay up to date in real time all the time by going to RiverBender.com/weather or by downloading that RiverBender app today in the Google Play Store or your App Store. Hey, while I have you, there's so many great things that are going on at Hainer Library, and Mary's going to join us on Monday to fill us in on all the great stuff. Just to note, the library, of course, will be closed on Independence Day for that observance, but there's so many great upcoming events that you need to be a part of. I mean, they're right there on the homepage, from the Treasure Quest Treasure Hunt, the Making Game Science Workshop, and then the Press State of the Art. There's so many great things. Now that summer reading program is getting ready to come to a close, but man, they had a successful one, and I'm so glad to hear it. Plus, on the 7th of July, the Murder Mystery Improv. This is going to be fun, and I hope you guys really take advantage of the events at Hainer Library. They're full. And I mean, more and more people throughout the community are a part of them. They're jam-packed, and I think it's great. Another great addition of what Hainer does best, and that's just be a door to community, door to learning, a door to understanding, and a door to just so much adventure. I really encourage you to get your Hainer Library card. All you do, it's super simple. Go to HainerLibrary.org. That's HainerLibrary.org. You'll click on the How Do I tab. You'll click on the Get a Library Card. Once you fill that information in, walk right into the downtown location or the location nearest you, and you're good to go, my friends. That's HainerLibrary.org. HainerLibrary.org, and don't forget to tell them that you know who sent you over their way. All righty, quick break. All things Matco politics, well, that comes our way next.
I don't know how it feels to hurt, but I ain't been lonely since you said goodbye. Wish I could say I miss you.
Oh no, another bad headache?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganass Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganass Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganass Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting, and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh, made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
Have a rash, pink eye, or urinary tract infection and need care now? OSF On Call Urgent Care is here to treat you. Start a virtual visit 24/7, whenever and wherever you need it. It's just that easy. OSFOnCall.org/virtual visit.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Then that time I went and said goodbye. Now I'm back.
Welcome back. 9:25, a little bit of change on this. I keep calling it a Friday. Yes, it does, really much so. Madison County Board member for District 23.
What's up,
Paul, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a good time to be alive, isn't it?
It is, really. And, we haven't had you on the show, in a couple of months? It's been a while.
Probably since around March, I think, was the last time. So it was about time to come back on. Lots of stuff's happened. 4th of July is coming up. Mm-hmm. Aren't we very fortunate to be born in the United States?
It's the only country, really, and I always say this, that, the ones that really hate it never leave. It's always an interesting point, and honestly, there's just so much to be thankful for, no matter what political spectrum you're on. It's just a great country, and we got to love that and embrace it. 250 is a big thing.
Isn't that unbelievable? We've only been around 250 years, and look at... our country, we're the most prominent country in the world. Most technology gets made here.
Mm-hmm.
So many innovations have come here. I think a lot of the good in the world, how we've advanced so much, is because the United States was formed.
Yeah, 100%. And what I think is really cool is just to see a lot more younger people really embracing that, just from my perspective.
I hope so.
And I hope it just continues to grow, and honestly, back here at the county, things are going pretty well. I mean, now...
Oh, it's a great time to be a county board member. As an elected official, I'm really proud of how things are run in Madison County, top to bottom.
Well, Chairman Slesser, I think, is doing a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
The board's doing a really good job, and it seems like, honestly, this term's a little bit different. It's just everyone's really firing on all cylinders for that common goal of progressing. And when we dive right in, the one thing I wanted to ask you right off the bat that I think so many people are curious about is just your thought on the property taxes, because I know that
I have doubled since I bought my place 10 years ago.
Well, and I'm seeing so many people that are kind of going, where's this money going? What's happening here? What in your district, are you guys seeing that too? What are your thoughts for your constituents?
That's my most common complaint is property tax.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, it varies from town to town how bad it is, but I particularly don't think it's good anywhere. We've got hit pretty good in Collinsville. I think people need to get involved with their their schools, their school boards, their superintendents. Be like, hey, what gives here, guys? We're really getting it because the state puts a lot of other taxes on us too. So we don't need to get it locally like that. But I think the citizens of the county, are really going to have to take control of their school board races. We got into it a little bit in Collinsville. Would have liked to get it more, find some candidates to go. But they really got to get involved with their schools. I noticed people are getting more involved with their local schools just because maybe they don't like some of the curriculum that's getting taught or some of the things they're trying to do. And now it's taxes. This is really hitting everybody. It doesn't really matter what your political ideology is. I mean,
no,
property tax is just high.
Yeah. And honestly, so for the folks at home, what's the county's role in that? I mean, you guys really don't have necessarily that say.
We don't have a role as elected officials in the county. I think we've all talked to several board members. I've talked to Chairman Slusser. We're going to get more involved. Be like, guys, what's going on here? I don't want to get into the whole test scores are going down.
Right.
We're spending tons of money, but that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get some bang for our buck going.
Yeah.
Because times are hurting. Like J.B. Pritzker just put a bunch of new taxes through on stuff. So I'm just like, man, we have a high gas tax. We're getting another one added on, I think, pretty soon. It's just like, man, we just keep getting it and getting it and getting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, our state tax is pretty high.
Right. Well, and see, that's why I figured let's start the show off with that, because I know that's been one of the more kind of talked about topics lately, and it goes back to where that money's going and how it's being utilized and what the real budget is for those prospective districts, I'm assuming. Yeah, and then people here's the only thing that's going to change. Like community to community, school boards elections, they need to be like presidential elections. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, nobody knows the school board members. I've been guilty of that throughout my lifetime. I know them now. But you got to get involved.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, the president's a very, very big deal. But this is what you pay on your property tax.
This directly affects you.
And I don't think I'm an exception. My tax is doubling since I've lived there, my house for 10 years. Granted, my house's value's gone up. I don't think it's doubled. I don't think I get double what I paid for it back in 2015. People just got to treat those local. They got to get more involved locally in politics. And I was guilty of this before I became a county board member and I really started helping on local campaigns. I knew more what a political senator said in, Washington, D.C., more so than what my county chairman had going on.
Right.
Or what my county board member was up to or voting on. So you want to be unplugged. Watching all those national level podcasts and news, it's good for red meat. Get fired up, do a good Facebook post. But it doesn't really help you move your community along.
Completely agree. And honestly, do you ever see or there ever be in a way where we can move the consolidated to the presidential cycle? Because I feel there's so much political fatigue by the time April rolls around. It's like, man, it's hard to take sometimes, not for me because I live it, but for other people that are like, man, I'm just over it. I don't want to think about politics. That's always what I think about. Can we move that?
Well, I'll tell you, everybody gets fatigued. I get fatigued. I've worked on a lot of campaigns in the last year. There's new one coming up, petitions, need signatures for, state senators, state reps. So, there's going to be people out on the street again. It was just, April, I was out on the street.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like people get sick of seeing you, but then if you say good stuff, you build rapport. You're getting involved in your community. This guy actually cares. He's just not a name and face that I can't put,
two and two together.
Yeah, two and two together. So he's actually going around or she's going around and talking to us.
Well, and now also, throughout the county, what are some things that are going on that you want the public to kind of know a little bit more of?
Well, the way we do our tax levy is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
How I really wish you could sit down with the school boards and be like, look, we're spending ARPA money right now. We have to spend that anyway. But we have not increased taxes, and these increases been tied to that. Having a flat tax levy in this day and age is unreal. We have a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at every county's books but off the top of my head, I'd say we're in the tops for having good books and, a surplus, especially, we're pushing 300,000 people. We are not a small county. We're not a huge one, but we're not small.
100%.
So I'm just impressed by what we got going on in the county. We really listen to our, constituents on zoning issues. And this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. I think Madison County kind of leads the way for that pushback against upstate.
Mm-hmm.
When they put something that seems kind of overbearing, not just to Republican voters, but Democrat voters, everybody. Seems like Madison County is kind of the first county to kind of jump on it and do a resolution. People, get on us about the non-binding resolutions. They mean nothing. Well, no, it means a bunch of people have probably contacted us. Take, for instance, the homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make that almost impossible to homeschool. They're going to regulate it out of existence.
Yeah. That's
a trick that a lot of elected officials do. When
Mm-hmm.
they want something, they've done it with many industries. So they're trying to do it there. And I got so much pushback, and I know Dalton, who worked on it, great. We all got pushback. So we did it to show we got our support, and we figured there would be some kind of lawsuit they could use the non-binding resolutions in later.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems like that died in the House. It was mostly the homeschool parents getting involved, but everything we can do. I mean, I'm supposed to listen to my constituents.
Right.
If they want me to write a non-binding resolution because they are really frustrated with some ridiculous law they make upstate, like, that's not an isolated incident. Then they wanted to ban mascots named after Native Americans. So if you wanted to do like future mascots, I could see that, but towns would have to redo all their stadiums, their paintings, their murals. Like Collinsville alone, I've heard the cost was estimated in the millions.
Right.
We'd had to pay for it.
Right, and see, that's where I think my argument with that came in. It's like, listen, I understand if like you said, for future things, but if the state's going to give them the $2 million that it's going to take to literally erase it and create new again, because there is, and then there's a lot of civic pride and community pride in that too. So that was a tough argument. And on the homeschool thing, I don't know too much about it. It was just I see kind of the other side of it, where it's like, are these homeschooling guidelines being met by those prospective parents? And it's one of those things that that prospective parent, I'm sure, has to check themselves at the door, so to speak, when they're implementing this, and that's because there's some really great homeschool students that have excelled and done wonderful things.
Statistically, they do better than
100%
public school students. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't problems with it, or maybe some people shouldn't do it, but statistically speaking,
you're right. And so like I saw both sides of that argument. I didn't really see the other side of the mascot argument. I thought it was a non-issue that we kind of had raised in just the midst of let's throw something out there. But coming down around the county too has been these protests, and like you said, you represent everybody. You have to. And what are your thoughts? Whenever you're Republican and you're seeing these anti Trump whatever you want to call them, no kings, or what's your thought to those individuals? And then what's your thought just about the situation overall?
Let's unpack that. You said a lot. So let's start with the no kings thing. I think that's a silly name. He's trying to enforce laws like our immigration law. They're trying to break them by brute force. So they're the ones acting like kings, in my opinion, like sanctuary cities. You have Democrat elected officials openly attacking ICE agents. You have attacks on ICE agents up like 500%. I mean, these people attacked a federal building in L.A., the ICE office. They attacked a building. 20 years ago, that would have been, there would have been a better response. So, I mean, they're trying to change the laws by brute force. They're like, we don't like our immigration laws. We're going to change them. What are you going to do about it? So, to me, they're acting like kings. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't like the already existing immigration laws, they really haven't formulated, like, what kind of an immigration policy they want. They're like, we need reform. Like, what do you want to do? I mean,
it's a fair point.
Just let anybody in, or do a deep background check? Do you have a number? Yeah, they're just trying to change the rules by brute force. And this is something too. There's a county board member who was promoting, I'm just calling them what they were, the second round of LA riots. The county board member, Alton Lamoth, was promoting those on her Facebook page. And I commented, I'm like, this isn't a peaceful protest. And I put a picture of a car on fire. And this was on, I think, the Sunday after it started. At that point, there were hundreds of arrests. They arrested some people who were here illegally for trying to kill a policeman. At least one person threw a Molotov cocktail at him. That's attempted murder.
Wow.
Get hit by a flaming bottle.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then the whole point is what the Army and the Guard shouldn't be in. The mayor doesn't want them, and the governor doesn't. Well, I'm like, they're supposed to protect their citizens' lives, safety, and property. They're not doing that. And so far, a lot of the people that have been arrested in these riots, especially LA, they're not even born here. So foreign nationals come waving in a foreign flag, start destroying property, attacking police, some cases trying to kill police. What else is our Army for?
I get you, and I get you.
So I just don't understand the whole no kings thing. I don't understand what kind of laws Trump's breaking. They're trying to make district court judges kings, and I've told some Democrat thought leaders in this this county on Facebook, like, these lawsuits aren't going to go like you think. Like, the judge cannot halt the president's executive orders. He's got certain powers within his jurisdiction, and they're losing in court all over the country. They're looking pretty silly.
Well, now let me ask you too. I mean, just going back to those, protests too. I mean, they're still constituent. What's your advice to them? Maybe about what's your thought to them, as they're protesting? Number one, because it's going to happen. I mean, these things continually build, and you can't, and no one can take away that the group, they are gathering a little bit more each and every week, and they're getting more and more people out there. In your position, what's your thought just to them on how to maybe bridge a gap or not to? That's something that I'm kind of curious about.
I would say watch your signs. I've seen pretty vulgar signs. Mm-hmm. Not to go back to the well on this too much, but like I said, Carlson County Board member Alton Lamoth held up an F. Elon Musk sign in front of a public library.
Oh.
And another person standing next to her, I mean, this is photographed on Facebook, has a sign about which bathroom do castrated Republicans use.
Oh.
I mean, those are vulgar. And she's like a 65-year-old woman. The other people her age look like that's what they were in the picture. So they're around her age. So I'm just like, is this much dignity? As an adult, don't have to be an elected official. Just like, who are you trying to convince? Like, I'm not even going to repeat some of the stuff that was on the signs I saw, like in Collinsville. For a couple of them were okay. They were talking about, defend democracy, stuff like that. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Even though we don't live in a democracy, we live in a constitutional republic. I really wish people would quit saying that.
Mm-hmm. I get you there. Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson spoke out against democracies. He didn't want the United States to be like Greece, Athens, Rome, not Rome, Athens and Sparta and all those city-states got in fights with each other. Kind of was the reason why they broke the country up. It couldn't be united.
Well, and now on top of that, because I want to, you mentioned your fellow county board member,
right.
And as elected officials, you do have, you have a role to play. But also, too, I mean, you're seeing, folks that are in United States Senate buildings, they're in House of Representatives, they're going out and they're still taking part in these same, protests or their demonstrations, or they're leading the charge on some of them. And does she have a right to do that is kind of my thought to you.
Oh, you have a right, should you? As far as national political figures, I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
I think local people follow national stuff. Like, they see some of this conduct, they think it's okay. Like, it hasn't got like locally like it has like nationally, where there's literally elected officials getting physical with law enforcement, getting locked up, and they should be.
Well, and honestly,
I mean, no local elected official or even really person in the protest has assaulted a police officer, which is good,
right?
But like, no, nationally, their conduct's unreal.
Right.
I saw that senator bum rush a cabinet secretary. That was unbelievable. He got thrown out and handcuffed. He should have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just come running in there yelling and screaming, and then an officer told you to go back, and then you put your hands on him, and then more had to come back, and you're still fighting, you're not listening. Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I think that's a good connection to make too, is because, you're right, here there hasn't been that issue yet, but it's making sure, we're still doing things the right way, and because everyone has that right to protest here. That's that's why we love living here. But it's also, like you said, there's a fine line between protesting and also, maybe using that position to further something. And I'm going into that a little bit because there was something in the paper, and Rusty Wheat's been on this show quite a bit, and he's talked about his litter cleanup efforts. From your perspective on that as a board member, what is your thought just on this kind of public, I guess, public conflict that it kind of transpired to be between the two?
Oh, you're talking about Rusty and Al. Well, this is something I wouldn't talk about, but it's been covered a lot in the press.
And that's why I'm bringing it up.
Oh, yeah,
it's everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere.
I'm not afraid to answer any question. A couple things here. Judge Hackett had a good statement. He said that Rusty shouldn't have said what he said. It's a little too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I agree he shouldn't have said it. At the same time, too, it didn't warrant a restraining order, and I think she was weaponizing her role as an elected official against a private citizen, which is bad. She's went after members of the public from the county board floor before. That's just not good. Like, I'm coming at her today. She's an elected official. She's on the same level as me.
Mm-hmm.
I will do that to another elected official. I'll call you out. But and the thing is with her, and I said, I don't really want to spend this whole podcast trashing her, but I'm just going to tell you, like, she's out there. She brings a lot of attention to herself. She attacks a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
She's attacked me with some false allegations online that I showed you earlier. So she's going to get a response back. She does stuff like holds F. Elon Musk signs out. Well, and then she has a friend standing next to her talking about castrated Republicans like I talked about earlier when she's argued on the board floor for gender-affirming care, which involves castration. So, I mean, all that stuff's really weird to talk about, but to my point, she throws political fastballs at people's head. She's not like a low-key board member. Plenty of them out there. Nobody says anything to them. They're low-key. They vote. well read, they go home. But like if you're going to throw you out there, you're going to attack people constantly. You're going to get a response back.
Well, and the only thing that I'll say, and not really in defense of, I mean, you know, when Joe Biden was president, we had the F Joe Biden stickers everywhere. The I did that.
I didn't think that was good.
And see, that's what my question was for you, because you know, F Elon Musk, people are going to go, okay, well, you know, what's too big of a deal when the Republicans are screaming, "Let's go Brandon" for MAGA people are saying, "Let's go Brandon" for 6 months, and because it was started as F Joe Biden, and then you know the NASCAR racer.
The F Elon Musk signs, it's just like it goes back to someone being an elected official. And I get you. I don't want to do the whole ageism thing, but why would a 65-year-old hold vulgar signs up from a public library? I mean, with all due respect to TikTok influencers, that's kind of something a 17-year-old TikTok influencer would do. So I just think, you know, anybody who would hold a F Joe Biden sign up in front of a public library, I wouldn't think that's good either. I mean, I didn't post stuff like that on my timeline.
Well, and see, that's good to know too. And maybe for the protesters, they're going, "Hey, you guys did this to us in a way. It's not. You know, there's still a decorum that's set is what you know we're kind of getting at here."
I agree, and I think what it is, they're within their own orbit a lot. They're within their own echo chamber, so they make these kind of crude jokes about people they don't like. Which, hey, you know, I guess there's a time and place for everything if that's your sense of humor. But you're not going to convince anybody in the public who somewhat disagrees with you, who's on the fence. They'll be like, "Well, that's kind of in bad taste." I'm walking my kid past this library, and I'm seeing signs about castration and F Elon Musk. I got to explain that to him. Why, you know?
Yeah, no, I 100%.
People much older than them are acting this way.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with you on that notion because it's not a well, it was okay for one, it's not okay for the other. You're saying it's just not okay. It's not good. It's not a good look. And Paul, you know, whenever you're on the county board, you're at your meeting. You know, take me through just the relationship of those board members a little bit.
Oh, I think we all get along pretty good. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for all of them. I have good dialogue with all of them. So me and Miss Lamoth don't see eye to eye on stuff. We don't have a dialogue, honestly. I would gladly talk to her sometime, even publicly here. Polite debate.
And she's welcome on the show, too.
Polite, I mean, I like to do it with her. You know, polite debate issues. I don't want to say anything crude or rude and kind of let her set the tone, but just kind of get it out there instead of just, you know, going after people online or having, you know, a bunch of Facebook followers. Like,
yeah, well, and honestly, man,
a bunch of Facebook followers trash other elected officials, and you kind of pile up on them. Because I didn't say a word about her when this thing was going on online.
Yeah, well, and honestly, I think it's one of those that's, you know, like you going back to it, I think you hit on it well, that I thought the judge did a really good job in handling that and holding both, you know, to an extent accountable. And I think that's really a positive note for the people to realize that we have some pretty good judges that do see that in the county, you know. And, you know, take me right now, you know, you got State's Attorney Hayne, who's leading the charge with that assault weapon.
Oh, I love that.
You know, what's your thought on that? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, that's a lot. I'm working on something with that now. I'm really supporting Tom on this for the sole fact that, I mean, they're trying to take away assault weapons. Who deems this an assault weapon? And my biggest complaint about this is the blatant hypocrisy of the people pushing this, because it's coming up north from Pritzker and them. They don't prosecute criminals there. I mean, there's a couple times a year where someone kills a child and gets a really reduced sentence, and they do it with an illegal gun. There's examples of it all the time. So you have existing gun laws on the book, and you'd have to have State's Attorney Hayne on, or maybe one of his attorneys.
We're working on that.
They could probably tell you more about minimums, but I think there's a pretty stiff minimum. If you're like a convicted felon with multiple arrests and you get caught with a gun you shouldn't have, you know, illegally, let alone use it, I think you get a stiff penalty. These people are getting time served, or like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, they've had people get arrested for murder, get like 7 years, then a sentence gets suspended down, they're out in 3. So we have gun laws now you do not follow. So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole if I just think they want to take guns away from law-abiding citizens for power purposes. But I can't think of a logical argument. Like, why wouldn't you not make sure you throw in a book at every criminal?
Well, 100%. And that's why, I mean, and I'm not necessarily, you know, agreeing with, but it's just what I'm seeing in Chicago. Like, you look at those county or those council meetings, and the residents are upset.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that live there are going, "Hey, guys, this isn't right." And they're screaming bloody murder up there right now.
Well, it's literally bloody murder. I hate to say that. I mean, that's a city in the United States that has more murders than a lot of countries. There's only 2.5 million people there. I mean, off the top of my head, I think they have about as many murders as Germany and the UK combined.
Really?
They got them each by individual country, but I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood. make your head spin. You're like, oh man.
Well, and see, that's where and I think that's where my disconnect is on the whole gun thing. Like you said, it's to me, and this is how people always get offended when I say this, but I'm under the notion that, hey, if you want to go, it's the same thing with drugs,
Sure. It's a tough one too.
It is, and it's a tough conversation. But you have all these things where, like for pot and all this stuff, and in Texas, it's going on where the lieutenant governor's fighting with Abbott over why he signed this or vetoed the bill to keep it illegal. But the thing is, people are still going to get their hands on it. If someone wants a gun, I hate to say it, they're going to find a way to own a gun. And so what you're doing is just putting more, in my opinion, put more restrictions a lot of times on guys that are doing the right thing, and I don't know about what an AR does or why you need, and that's not really the point of this. It's just, you're putting all these restrictions on, but when the criminal's still going to get the gun, they're still going to find drugs. You know what I'm saying here?
Everything's, that's a good comparison. Thing about drugs, I think we can fix a lot of that culturally. Like, I think drug use is a lot, we've talked about this before, a lot more glamorized now than it was when I was a kid. People used to beat you over the head with the dare and just say, no, all that stuff's good. I mean, being a drug addict, doing drugs all the time is not good for you.
Right.
So you just see it within popular culture. And I said, I don't have a problem with people shouldn't go to jail for doing weed, but the way they act like there's no harmful side effects to it, especially on a developing brain, it's just so much more socially acceptable now.
Right.
Like, it's more socially acceptable, I'd say, in a lot of circles to smoke pot than cigarettes.
Right.
I've never done either. They're both gross to me, but like...
Well, and to be honest with you, this is where I was kind of going with, like, I've always been under the notion where you know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
And there's so much about this stuff now, and I hate to say it, if you're a 22-year-old or you're an 18-year-old that decides, hey, I'm going to start using cocaine, I don't think that we should overwhelm the prison system. Just don't feel bad when you get sick and you're looking for help, because you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and then you brought into another problem that goes along with that, the healthcare.
Yeah.
People use drugs, they jam up a lot of our healthcare, costs money. So I mean, that's all tough, man.
Yeah,
because of course you want to give a drug addict or someone who's OD and help, but I mean, all that. If we have a society that uses drugs on a large scale, it's not going to be a healthy.
I get what you're saying.
It's just not.
No, and what
we got to get it out of our culture, because we got cigarette smoking for the most part. If you look at like just old, movies, anything, people smoke constantly, one after another. Nobody, and that's cool. They don't smoke cigarettes, and I think half our population did. Mm-hmm. At one time, heck, even pro athletes were lighting up. I'm smoking.
Right.
Yogi Berra, a famous St. Louis guy, he's smoking cigarettes, like doing an ad. And so, I mean, we kind of got that out of us as a culture. I think the same thing has to happen with drugs. That'd be the most effective way to tackle that one.
Well, and here's my problem with the whole, like, let's get rid of things, because it's one of those where, as a lot of more conservative minded people are tired of the big brother mentality where, I'm my own adult. All of that stuff. So whenever you have a government saying, hey, you can't smoke menthol cigarettes anymore, we get it's for health reasons, but it's also, we're adults and we can make our own decisions. So that's kind of where my point is with it, because I think, obviously you got to help people that are going through addiction, and it's a terrible thing. We talk to Centerstone about it all the time. It's just, where's the fine line from being big brother to being irresponsible? Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of my thought on that.
Yeah, that's the ultimate sweet spot. Like I said, not a drug person.
Right.
I just don't think they should throw a book at people. Yeah. But like, I don't have a problem throwing a book at someone who sells drugs. I don't.
Mm-hmm. No, right.
You sell drugs illegally, you do stuff like, I think they should be harder sentences, because if you caught somebody for selling, I don't know, a bunch of one of these hard drugs, cocaine or heroin once, they've done it a lot, how many people they poison. So I
get you there.
People who sell drugs, I don't mind throwing the book at.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. So, well,
sorry if that sounds bad.
I get what you're saying there, because that's a little bit different, and because, like, in Oregon, there's different things that you can go and do and all that, and it seems, I don't know what the stats are, but it just seems like maybe that's something to look at. But going back here to the county, though, we are starting to see this to where instead of, just drug issues, it's mental health issues. I wanted to share this with you.
Because I'm on the health committee. I don't have the answers to why we have so much mental health issues right now, because this is an easy time to be alive now.
Well, and I'm sure you know this. I mean, over the last 5 months, we had 11,988 calls in the state, and 4,000 of them came from the county. And to me, that's staggering. Where it's like, instead of talking about substance use disorder treatments, it's mental health awareness too that I think is really important. And being on that committee, man, what have you guys been able to discuss? Because you guys have a heck of one, and that's something that's a bipartisan thing. It's really a unique group.
Once again, I just don't know what the answer for the mental health issues are. We've talking about drugs, I'd say clear your mind of substances.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you drink too much coffee, you get a little paranoid and you think, well, the world's going to maybe I should have stopped after that second cup. I mean, free your mind of substances. Eat healthier foods. I mean, I know when I'm watching what I eat real good, man, I'm crisp. I'm sleeping better. I'm thinking better. I'm feeling better. A lot of it's, like I said, it has to do with your diet. I know people might not believe me. And I get a little bit of exercise. And I'll tell you, put the tech down.
Yeah.
Look, social media is fine, but don't, like, when you mix with the public, have personal relationships. Don't get, like, excited to post a picture, get a bunch of likes, which everybody does. I like seeing a bunch of likes on my stuff, but nothing's better than human interaction.
Right.
Like when I went to, friends, some of my friends compete in Missouri State. It's a bodybuilding championship. I didn't look in my phone the whole show. I was talking to people who were within my, the fitness community like me. Those interactions there were better than like a year's worth of social media interactions.
Right. And
person to person, I think, and I told you before I was guilty of this before my neck surgery. I didn't know a lot of my neighbors, and at that point, I'd lived there almost 5 years. I started walking around. I was limited on my activities. I got to know everybody. You just got to get to know a sense of community. I don't think there's a sense of community anymore. That's why politics is so bad. They're like, this person disagrees with me. They got to be evil.
Right.
And so, like, I've talked to them before about other stuff, or
dude,
maybe I go to the same church or same grocery store.
I love that comment because you're right. We used to be able to disagree as much as we wanted to, and we were still friends.
Sure.
And it doesn't seem like that community sense is there anymore. And just one more question on like the mental health thing. Can the county do anything on an ARPA funding just to raise awareness for, hey guys, here's all the programs, here's the committee, here's the health council.
We spend a lot on mental health.
Do you already see? That's what I was curious about.
I mean, you can always spend more, I guess. But I think we get a lot of bang for our buck.
Good.
We have a real good, health board, even our committee for the board, but there's a board above us. So they're really trying to reach out to people.
That's good to know.
I mean, I don't want to bring everything back to COVID every time we talk, but man, things just got a little off the rails.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed, the work environment change, getting people into work, just general happiness.
Yeah.
Schools, they did a number on schools. I think that is a big problem with schooling. Those COVID lockdowns depends on where you were, a year, 2 years away.
Yeah, well,
I think that did damage. We'll see for generations.
Well, man, they called me, and I'm someone who was always kind of prided myself on switching back and forth a little bit and agree. And it's like, man, they were calling me a red hatter, and it's like all I was caring about were the abused kids that were locked up in these abused homes for 2 years, and it was terrible. And just for the folks like single men and women that were locked up, and they became, that's when a lot of the addictions for them started forming.
Right.
And there was a lot that came with that, and I think COVID's still something to talk about when it comes to mental health.
What about if you didn't have time, if you were working all day and you couldn't, watch your son or daughter be on Skype?
Yeah.
And how many, think of all the people who don't have computers or aren't computer illiterate, like to where they can do Skype and operate that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can live your life without being like a computer whiz. I mean, no, but I mean, I just think that was putting too much burden on the parents. Like, you got to make sure your kids Skype all day instead of sending them to my classroom. I mean, you're working, you're trying to pay a lot of bills, everything's shut down, the economy's hitting it, but hey, we're going to put something more on your plate.
I get you.
And I think that built a lot of resentment up in our society too. Some people look at getting forced to lock down, and there's just some unsettled anger. I hope it goes away. Because you can't dwell in the past.
I completely agree with you, and I think that's where a lot of the more political corrosion occurred, is because we were at home and we, our circle wasn't there, So, and we were on that island and saying, you know what, hell with it. I'm going to tell you how I feel sitting here because I ain't got nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, it's almost top of the hour. Let's take a break for that. We'll come back and chat a little bit more. You guys stay there. It's been a very informative conversation, and we'll come back with more.
Oh no, another bad headache? Yeah. Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and it will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganess Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganess Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Welcome back.
What's up, guys?
10 o'clock hour just hit. You guys are about 2 minutes late on your screen, but that's okay. Hey, we're back with Paul. Now, I got to ask you this just to break the ice. You've been on the air for 2 years now. Nicolussi.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I have been nervous to say that for a year and a half because I'm like, I'd never want to botch the name, so I just Paul's on the show. But just to break the fourth wall for the audience a little bit, you represent Collinsville and Maryville at part of District 23. What are you seeing there locally that, you're kind of following and want the public to be aware of?
Well, I mean, I think the Maryville, Collinsville area, we do great festivals. Next weekend in Maryville, the 11th and 12th, we have the homecoming. I'm going to be there. I talked to Wayne White yesterday. The mayor, he's a great guy.
He was on the show. Wonderful guy,
he's
man.
Like perfect public servant.
Yeah,
with his background in law enforcement, being on the school board, is always smiling, always great guy. So I'm going to go support that, the Maryville homecoming, go out and mix with the community that way. Then, Smoking on Main. We had it at the end of the month. 26 and the 27th. It's going to be Smoking on Main. And on the 24th, that Thursday, my fundraiser's going on too.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you if that was coming up soon.
Second annual Great American Bash. I've done some promotions for it. I'm sure you've seen them. I have a local band, the Whiskey Revival, led by Ryan Malter.
That'd be
Malter's
good.
Big Collinsville name. He's done a lot for the community. His whole family has. They're a great band. I love their music. They go all over the place, man. They play the Cars. They play country music. Just really good stuff. All kinds of genres. So they're going to be real entertaining. I have a raffle, too.
What date is that again, just so I can type this in for me?
July 24th.
Okay.
5 to 8 p.m. at Old Herald.
Perfect.
And I have a very unique raffle. I should have brought it in this morning. I was in a hurry. Had a laser printer print out a life-size model of J.B. Pritzker's head, and I'm going to pour M&Ms into it. It's empty, hollowed out the top. Whoever guesses closest to the correct amount wins a custom-made flag. It's worth like $300.
No kidding.
It's wood-burned. It's heavy. It looks great.
So just like a little
it's
bust.
just fun, yeah. I want to make it. I don't want this to be a typical political fundraiser. I want this to be like a party.
Yeah.
Like this ain't going to be like a stuffy fundraiser. Like there's going to be music. There's going to be dancing. There's going to be people from all walks of life there. Like your usual political people go to fundraisers. They're going to be my friends from the fitness industry, friends from my work.
Cool,
people
man.
who worked on my security teams. It's going to be like a political fundraiser you've never seen. I'm not just saying that. It's going to be, folks.
Well, and I took notes for that article, so that way we can let people know if they're interested to support that.
Sure.
Go out there and be a part of it. And, we were talking a little bit just, about some of the discourse and the, it's just not appropriate, I don't think, to grow that way.
No.
And now, what is your thought on how can we mend the bridge in a way? Because, you guys are in the majority for the,
Sure.
For Madison County, for decades it was a blue county, and then that changed overnight. It seemed like with Prenzler and when he won the chairman's seat in 2016.
2016. Then we started picking off more board seats. Like the districts got redrawn, but I don't even can't tell you the last time a Republican held what is my seat now. I'm the first one. We started picking up, more countywide seats. We had really good candidates come up. There's Republicans like, Chris Slusser, who's still involved, the McCrays, Ray Wesley. There's more. I'm sorry if I leave anybody out, man. They've been battling for a long time.
Yeah.
And they were on the losing team. They didn't throw in the towel. So you talk about perseverance.
Right.
It's like, glad we're all working together and doing the best things for the county. There's a great group of people to learn from, just about policy, how actual government works. A lot of them been doing it their whole life, and not their whole life, most of their adult life. And the thing is, they're talented people. They could be doing something else, making the same money, if probably more. They're very talented, so this is what they choose to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and honestly, going back into that, is there a way that you guys could, in your opinion, because, obviously votes are going to be votes.
Sure.
You aren't going to see a lot of the we're going to drop in and support this other side, this other measure. But is there a way to have more conversation that makes, those voices that maybe don't agree with the Republicans at least feel like, hey, we're not just being heard, there's some collaboration here somewhere.
I welcome dialogue. I take emails
Mm-hmm.
all the time. I get inbox on Facebook, get text on occasion, but I'm not going to really complain to voters on the other side. That really bothered me. Some of the activist group, like I said, not to get back to Miss Lamoth, but her and some of her activists that really follow real tight with her. Yeah, they've said some pretty nasty things about me, sent some emails, but I just consider the source, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's baked in a cake, unfortunately, in politics. And like I said, I put myself out there too. I can make myself a target. I don't go after people personally. I don't go after their families. I've never tried to get law enforcement on. I mean, I showed you some screenshots. There's some, I would say, considered threats, but I'm just, it's not to the point to where I want the police arresting anybody. I hope that never has to happen.
Right, and honestly, it shouldn't, because and you hit it on the head earlier. And I'm not. And normally, I don't say I agree with political figures on the show just because it helps me. But you're right, because we're getting to this point where it's just like we're nationalizing everything.
Sure.
Where it's like we see, whatever crazy on what side of the aisle you saw on CNN or Fox or whatever, and you go, oh, we can do this now, and we can. We have to get back to being a community, and that's really I think so important, because you're right. Local elections, they're going to affect you. Your tax bill hits, all that stuff matters. So, I mean, I just hope there's more of a focus on being neighbors and focusing local.
And the thing is, too, I get educated by the national elections talking to my community more. They will, because, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. I work full time. I'm on the county board. I'm always reading my packets, following what's going on in the county. I'm not plugged into a lot of national stuff like I was at one time.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to think I'm informed, and I got to put down politics sometimes, man.
Well, you have to. It's not healthy.
Me and you are both pro wrestling fans. How non-political can you get?
Right.
There's no politics in wrestling. I used to like watching sports, but it kind of seeped its way in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's seeped its way into way too many movies, man. I just want to unplug.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're saying everything I agree with. I don't want to hear anything about politics sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to unplug, get mental peace, because I think when that becomes people's life, and it's their number one thing, I think their life's too dependent on elections.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a man of faith. I'll just say that I am a Christian. God's with me. Joe Biden won. I didn't want him to win. I did not give up on life. I celebrated the 4th of July. It didn't ruin my life. I was unhappy. I've had friends lose elections. I just don't take the loss like some of these people, because I see when they lose an election, man, you see someone's true character. They act like the world's over. They're being real vicious. I'm like, man, just come up with a better message next time. Beat the person. Don't let this ruin your life. If your whole life's hinged on these elections that happen every 4 years, I think you're just a really sad person.
Right. Well, and honestly, I it's just you're in so many ways. You lose with grace. And obviously, the Democrats could say in 2020, nationally, was that graceful? I don't know. That's not the argument.
There's parts of the 2020 the way Republicans acted that I didn't like.
Right.
But they had legitimate complaints, too.
Well, and the thing is, though, it's like, when are we going to move on and get back to our own household? Because, listen, the White House ain't calling any of us today. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll tell you what's so funny. They bring up January 6th all the time, which was a terrible day in our history. But when people compare it to 9/11 and all that, I mean, let's just be honest. We've had worse riots in the St. Louis area where police get shot, police get killed, people get hurt, people get killed. Dozens. I can't tell you how many buildings went up in the Ferguson riots. And, Pritzker was talking about January 6th when he was testifying in front of Congress. I'm like, buddy, 18 people died the night of a riot in 2020.
Right.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, like 18 people were killed and all this property was destroyed. Be like, you had a worse riot in your backyard and you kind of let it happen.
Well, and honestly, Paul, I don't want to really talk about it because it's to me, it's over and it's done with. And you have to move forward. But it goes back to that where you have the you guys did it too argument, coming from the other side. And I think that we're at a point where we got to put it all away and just move forward.
You should never be violent. and you should never do things like block traffic. People got to get to work and live their life. Protest all you want. And, you know, the vulgar signs, I'm not sure what the obscenities laws are, but if you want to do those, hey, that's on you. But you're not, if you carry yourself with no dignity, you're not going to get treated with dignity by others.
Yeah, I agree with
that. So
that.
you kind of get that action.
I agree with that.
You put out. So if you throw a bunch of negative energy out there, you're going to get it back.
Well, and honestly, Paul, I think that's a good note because it's a two-way street. And, you know, going back, you got Senator Harris, who's announced her reelection bid. You got Representative Ellick. She's reannounced her election
great
bid.
People. Those are two people I really like. Erica, obviously, full disclosure, she's the one who talked me into being a county board member. They're great. Wow. They are great people. They're great elected officials. I've had some rough times, like any elected official. They're on the quick call list.
Right.
Like if there's a big tragedy, like I need somebody to talk to, someone give me good, calm advice, someone who's supportive and smart. They're the first two. They're on that list.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about the relationship that the county has with those statewide officials because, you know, obviously you're in two different jurisdictions, but collaboration is important, I'm sure, when you're discussing your guys' policies, referendum.
Constantly. We talked to Amy a lot and Eric about the mascot bill, the homeschooling bill. They were two of the leaders on their respective, you know, state house, state senate. I'm thoroughly impressed by them. They're two of the most. It's hard to say who the most impressive leader I know is. I got a lot to choose from. I mean, they're in that conversation, man. Yeah. I mean, even at the county level, if you look at our county-wides, look at how all those offices are running. I mean, for my money, we got the best state's attorney in the state. I mean, the way he's leading the charge.
I agree.
And sticking up for law-abiding citizens. And I'm doing research now. I want to show people, if I can find it, because Chicago and Cook County kind of hides it. Our prosecution rate is crazy. If you're a criminal in Madison County, we will prosecute you.
Well, I wanted to ask you about
Cook County, it's like, by the time it's really, I'm going to come try to find the next couple weeks. Like the state's attorney only looks at like 70% of what they're given. Then they whittle that down to where it's like 15-20% of the people actually deserve time.
Well, and, you know, just to touch on, you know, the prosecution side of things, and this is something we've talked with State's Attorney Hain on a little bit.
Sure.
And really appreciated his insight on it because, you know, I think a lot of times, especially when I'm reading a news story where you got a domestic violence suspect or, you know, accused of because they haven't been convicted, but they're on parole already or on bail for, you know, another domestic violence charge, and then a judge is saying, well, here's pretrial release for you. And, you know, at first, I think the public, you know, the public's going, you know, state's attorney, what are you doing here? And we talked about it. It's a lot of times it's based on the judge, correct?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
What's your thought on that? Because it's so, for, you know, our reading audience, they're commenting going, this guy's already on bail. He's already on parole for the same offense.
I'm glad you brought that up because that totally escaped my mind to talk about today. Madison County has great judges. For a while, we didn't have that reputation. Within the last 5 years, maybe a little more, we've got great judges. Man.
I think so. Yeah, I do too.
We got great judges. It goes across political stripes.
There is
Democrat,
Republican, there's always a good one.
Good.
Yeah.
We have great judges in this state. I want to give them credit, too, for calling balls and strikes. I mean, judges are very important.
And they're
always really nice to interact with, too. I've never had a bad interaction with the judge.
And just from my takeaway is there's no partisanship in our judges. You know, it really is based on, but it's just, you know, going into that, it's just, man, is it on them anymore? Is it just because of the way the law reads? You know, like that's where I think the disconnect is for me on that.
I just don't think we have that problem in Madison County. There's certain things we can't do because of the Safety Act, but I mean, a judge is going to give you what you should get, and the state's attorney's office is going to, you know, they're going to book you, and then I think you're going to get convicted if you're guilty.
Okay.
I mean, we got the arrest rates to prove it. I mean, I think, and I don't want to be wrong on this, it's like a couple of years ago, I looked up St. Louis stats versus Madison County. I think at one point we had more felony convictions than them, and I'm like, are you serious? St. Louis has way more felonies than us.
And that's a good note to make, too, for folks that are going, you know, what the heck are these guys doing? No, they're getting prosecuted. You know, they're going to serve their sentence if they're convicted.
Yeah, I mean, everything's so important with local politics. Like a good state's attorney can really make a county or city good. Judges, too. I mean, if you look at like what we had going on, say, compare Tom Hain, you know, Kim Gardner. So no, state's attorneys make a huge difference.
Well, and honestly, when state's attorney Hain filed that amicus brief, that was the first time since I've been here where it was a bipartisan, this is a good idea. I mean, and that's from our comment. I didn't poll anybody, but I'm reading it, and I'm seeing folks that are part of, you know, different protest groups and everything that are going, you know what, this is good. This is good. And they support that.
Well, Chicago, Cook County, sanctuary county, cities, whatever. We're a sanctuary county for law-abiding citizens. You're a law-abiding citizen in Madison County. You can educate your kids here how you want. We respect the Second Amendment. We're just, we try to make things affordable, like work around the state laws. We try to make it friendly for business in our towns. This is a sanctuary city for all law-abiding citizens. Well, so Madison County is not proud to serve.
Yeah,
as an elected official.
So we've been talking almost an hour here now, Paul.
Yeah.
Once
Time flies, man.
it does, man. I feel like it's been a very I feel like it's been a very constructive conversation.
Thank
and
you.
hopefully for folks that, don't agree with you, that are going, at least I'm understanding hopefully a little bit more of the mindset. Before we wrap this up, we have a couple of minutes. Let's talk about, some things that are on top of your mind, or we can recap them. What should we be hitting on to close?
Well, the red meat stuff that gets people fired up, like the protests and some of the conduct of people. That's fine, but more importantly, the important stuff. I want to talk about what we're doing for the community. On the county level, we're trying to make things better for people. We're doing everything we can. We're watching our spending. We're investing in the community. We're working with local business. We have a flat tax levy. I mean, come on, that's unbelievable. We have a surplus in our county. We just have we're listening to our people. Like, the non-binding resolutions, people, why are you doing those? Because it's popular demand. If I can't speak for my people when they're upset about this issue, what good am I? And I think those do matter. I think it's just important to don't listen to the national media. Don't look into too much Facebook. Madison County, like I think most of the country, it's a very nice place to live. I don't have bad, and I'm an elected official, so I'm more of a public figure. I don't have bad interactions when I go to the grocery store. I don't have bad interactions when I go to the gym. I go to every festival. You ask everybody. I'll talk to hundreds of people. Not one cross word said to me, I don't see people arguing. It's pretty nice out there. It's a good time to be alive.
Well, and see, that's a great note to make, too, because you see the protests, and like you said, it's red meat stuff, and it fires people up on both sides, whether they're for it or they're against it. But when we come together, you hit it on the head. There's not a lot of contention. It's going back to just enjoying what the county and what that perspective or specific town's trying to offer, and I think that's really important.
And I will say some of the gamesmanship, though, of these protests and, it can jam up. When I get emails not related to county stuff, or I get people upset about certain things we have no control over, I think that comes up the works. And like these elected officials who maybe aren't Republican right now, they disagree with us on stuff like nationally, but why aren't you doing more to help the community? And instead of, elected officials leading these No Kings protests, why don't you do something to improve the community? I mean, Donald Trump doesn't care if people in the Madison County protest in front of libraries and a Route 66 sign. Why don't you do something to improve the community? Some local issue like, hey, how can we get this property tax burden? How can we relieve some people? Can we maybe do a fundraiser for the less fortunate, or like a governing body that's short on money? We want some improvements like our local library or something like that. Or some just a good effort, because you need to raise taxes to fund government, but we got to give back a little too. I just make the most of your time.
Well, and let me ask you this, and this is something that I've asked when the Consolidated was going on many, many times, because the whole thing was, a lot of this was about housing, especially here, because you had the mixed units and all that, and people know how I feel about it. I think that there's a better way for home ownership. Is there a way that the county, if we're in a surplus, for, because you already have a great first-time home buyers program.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt denying that.
Something else for our county. I can go on all day, the stuff we got, trying to make it affordable for people.
But for, like the senior citizen that's been paying their taxes for, 40 years, and they're on a fixed income, their HVAC goes out. Is there a way we can add more to that fund to take care of them and keeping them in their house so these properties don't deteriorate? I don't know if there's something there already. It's just something.
That's kind of like falls under township jurisdiction.
Okay.
The county can do a little bit.
Okay.
The Collinsville-Maryville Township does a really good job. I think most of our townships are run well. I would think they do a lot too. But a lot of it goes back to community outreach. I don't want to, separation of church and state. Yeah, but like churches, you do a lot of stuff too. So like, even if you're a political leader, may not be the biggest church goer, don't be scared to reach out.
What do you see
because I think church is one of our last bastions of community in this country. Like I go to church every Sunday. I know these people. I see them all the time. I know their families. I'm concerned about them. I just don't think you get that anywhere else in any walk of life now. I mean, maybe people form close bonds with coworkers, But I just don't think of a lot of places where people form bonds like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and see, that's what I was curious about. And it goes, my final question on the surplus is, because it's great to have a surplus.
Right.
And honestly, it shows that, there's being some money managed well.
Right.
Is there anything that you guys are ever going to do with that surplus money, or are we just going to keep it growing?
We're going to keep it growing, and you never know when there's going to be an emergency.
Gotcha.
Who'd have thought St. Louis would get creamed by a tornado downtown?
Oh man, that's terrible.
We have big things we want to do, and we're just going to keep growing it, keep making money off our investments.
Mm-hmm.
Treasurer Slusser set up Treasurer Babcock pretty good there. Treasurer Babcock will keep it up. I don't know if you ever talked to him. You ought to have him on. He's a real nice guy. So worldly when it comes to the business world and what he's done. He's a township supervisor. He can teach people a lot of stuff. He's been around a while. He has that wisdom. These young people like you are good with tech, but old guys like me, we got wisdom on you. We got experience.
Right. You're right. Well, and see, I think it's interesting because, I think so many times, to wrap this up, you hit it on the head with this national thing. We got to get rid of this partisan crap because it's not going to help us locally. It's just really not.
I challenge everybody out there. If you're eaten up by politics and if you don't want to celebrate the 4th of July, tomorrow, turn the TV off for a week. Don't watch any news.
No kidding.
See if your life improves. I mean, it's good to be informed, but if it's eating at you that much, you're doing something wrong. Just try to enjoy your life. And everybody, happy 4th of July. Yep. I mean, I know a lot of the listeners aren't happy with some things going on in the country, but man, we could be somewhere else. And let's be fortunate we live in America, guys. Let's just celebrate the greatest country in the world. Because not that I'm closed-minded, I don't have time for people who are going to make posts tomorrow. Oh, I'm not celebrating the 4th of July. It is a horrible country. I just don't have time for that.
I agree with you.
We have some things we need to improve. We're human, but thank God I'm an American.
Yeah, 100% on that. And it's one of those things where, I just really hope, and it doesn't mean you have to, love everything, but just, appreciate a little bit, a little bit more. And honestly, you're right. Cause you can turn off the news for 2 months and the world's going to keep moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, you don't need to be glued to it. It isn't, the Cuban Missile Crisis or anything like that, Oh
God, I hope not. Something like that doesn't happen again.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's nothing to really keep you glued. And I just really hope that it gets back to more focused on localizing some issues and really, like you said, combating the property tax increases that keep happening, and focusing on them where they matter, in our neighborhoods and in our communities and in our prospective taxing districts. And I think that's really important to know. And I thought you made a really good point with that too, Paul. And it's always great talking with you. Final thoughts before I say goodbye for now?
Anyone feel free to reach out. I talked about a lot of stuff today. Maybe some things you like, some things you didn't like. Easy to get a hold of. Just get a hold of me. If you got anything to say, my information's out there. My countywide email, my cell phone's even out there for people who need me. So just give me a call. I'll get back to you. Send me an email.
That's really cool. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more of our daily show, and we'll keep a recap of this article on RiverBender.com in a couple of days.
Oh no, another bad headache? Yeah. Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
You're listening to Our Daily
When I
Show.
got in a car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh-made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
Have a rash, pink eye, or urinary tract infection and need care now? OSF On-Call Urgent Care is here to treat you. Start a virtual visit 24/7, whenever and wherever you need it. It's just that easy. OSFOnCall.org/virtual visit.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Oh yeah, well I swear that I really want to know how baby. I really want to say I can't define that love, make it go.
9:25. Sydney.
CJ.
Back in studio. It's been a while.
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Because you were gone, and that's wonderful for you. You had a good time, and if I didn't say it already, congratulations again. You have a lot going on. It's very exciting.
You know, I do, but it's great because I'm really just kind of, you know, I'm not really doing a lot of the activity, if that makes sense.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She's been kicking ass. She's been grabbing all the boxes and moving stuff in, and I'm just kind of, you know, because I figured if I did it, you know, it's going to get drug back out anyway. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
I've
just
learned that.
Have you really? I'm just here for the show, you know?
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
It's been really good. And
Good.
It was a good time. We had a good time.
That's wonderful.
I mean, I haven't ever watched a Hallmark movie before, but you know, like,
did it over this trip?
We did it. No, yeah, we did it over. No, I just figured this would be a good idea, and her family was great with it. Oh my God, it was a great engagement. Couldn't have been better.
That's wonderful.
And her dad took great pictures. So like, best
really,
I've ever looked.
The pictures are gorgeous.
Best I've
ever looked. If you guys haven't seen the photos, they're beautiful.
You should. Yeah. So you've been working while I've been away getting engaged, and well. How's life been treating you?
Life's been good. Life's been busy in its own way up here in Illinois, so staying busy. But you know, that's as we always say. That means there are cool things happening in the community for us to keep up with. So that's exciting.
When you got other people breaking our news, you know you're doing something right. And once again, last weekend you found yourself out late on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
we got to work on this.
I tend to find myself out late on Sundays or weeknights and then regret it the next day. And that's okay though, because I was doing something really fun. I was at the Muni.
Okay, I gotta ask you though.
Yeah,
It was hotter than a hornet.
It wasn't that bad on Sunday. It was kind of like the rain was like kind of right there.
Oh,
it's kind of
gotcha,
like, is
yeah.
it gonna rain? Is it not? And so we got really lucky. It didn't rain, so it worked out. So what do you know?
So I've never been to the Muni.
What?
Yeah,
CJ.
that's one thing I haven't St. Louis. What's it
gotta
like? Because all I imagine is because I've never seen it actually.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen the stage. I've never.
It's great.
How big is it?
It's huge. It's like so just to put it in perspective, so they have some free seats that are available in the last couple of rows in every production. 1,500 free seats available, and that's just the last couple of rows. So the theater itself is huge.
So, okay.
Yeah, let's hear it.
1,500 seats.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of seats.
That's a lot of gone money, is what I call it. I guess if they're expecting those seats never to be filled, they just give them for free.
I think I think part of their mission is to make art accessible to people.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, they want to make sure that people can come see it if possible. So I've hung out in the free seats before. Bless you.
Thank you.
And it's really nice to be able to see the show that way.
Can you still hear it?
Yeah, you can hear it really well.
Oh, okay,
You
so
can't-
it's not.
I mean, it's like smaller, but
Yeah.
so you can still hear really
Get the
well and like
binoculars
enjoy
out.
it. But or you can buy tickets, and it's always full. And they have an incredible show every year. They have a great lineup, and this year especially, I'm just gonna little plug for the Muni. They have a 10 out of 10 lineup this year, so I will be going back a few times if I can swing it. So I look forward to it.
So, do they have the thing? Is that where they when they had Peter Pan, he went through the crowd and stuff? Do they do that there?
Sometimes, yeah.
Wow.
Every now and then, the first couple of rows, someone will run through the crowd for something. So that's kind of cool whenever that happens. But yeah, not this show. This show, everyone stayed on stage.
I guess it would be bad if you stuck a leg out there.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
Knowing my luck, I'd be stretching, and all of a sudden down goes the star.
When I went to the Fray in Decatur, the lead singer of the Fray came all the way up to the lawn, ran all the way up there to past us in the lawn, which is wild. So sometimes people like to get out there and enjoy it. I think if I was a performer, I'd be too nervous to do that, especially for that reason that someone's gonna trip me.
Or I just fall. I can't walk and chew gum.
That's true too. There's a really good possibility that I would just collapse on my face. So what are you gonna do?
So what show did you see?
So I saw Come From Away. So this show, this is kind of solemn, but it is.
I could have looked at your picture.
Yeah, pay attention. No, but it's kind of a solemn show. It's actually a true story. It's based on 9/11. These 38 planes were grounded in Newfoundland, in this small town in Newfoundland. And they stayed there for 5 days. And it was this really small, Alton-sized town, or maybe smaller than Alton. And 7,000 new passengers came and stayed for 5 days. And so it just told the story of that and kind of that experience. And it was really good and really emotional. And it blended, there was some humor too. So it wasn't just 2 hours of intense,
Yeah.
But it was a really good show. And it helped me understand a little bit more about just that experience for people.
That's got to be a tough thing to blend too.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job. And these are Broadway level shows that they're putting on with Broadway performers, which is really cool. One cool thing, someone I went to school with at Millikan was actually in the show, which was pretty cool.
Wow. Did you get a discount?
I wish. That would have been cool. But no, so it was pretty neat, and it was a great show. And I was familiar with the show beforehand, but I had never seen it live before. And so getting to see it live and see how they did it was pretty incredible.
Oh,
is that the drill?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
If you guys don't know, if you're hearing rattling, this is going to be what it's going to be for the next month. And everyone's got to work, but I just so frustrating. I get a headache by 11:30 because of this damn drill.
Rough.
And I don't know what else you can drill in this building. I mean, I truly don't. This guy has been everywhere. How many more spots are you going to go? I feel like he's just drilling the same damn hole. It's like Shawshank Redemption.
That is louder than I expected. I know you said it was loud.
No one believes me down here.
It
loud. Rings down to the vent and shakes the studio.
That's wild. Okay,
no one knows about the stresses of hosting a local talk show.
You're so right. Well,
God, man.
It's going to be beautiful when it's
Oh, I bet it will be, yeah. It's going to be beautiful as me on Channel 11 after my meltdown. Be like Britney Spears. I'm going to walk into that Sam's Club uptown or Great Clips and just shave it all off.
Yeah,
you know?
whatever it takes.
So I have never heard about this show. And what I think's cool just reading your blog is that it features real footage from local news. So that's cool.
That was incredible. Yeah, they had real 2001 news footage from this local news station, and it was incredible to see like these actual people, you know, in line for food or getting donations piled up or, you know, whatever else. And it was just, it added like this like shock of reality to it, you know, because you know it's real, but like to see it actually playing out on the screen was pretty incredible.
Honestly, yeah, it is. And what I think's really unique too is I think it could ignite maybe some of that community that folks did feel after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, you know, because it really, I think time goes on and you kind of forget, and all those little kind of smaller stories about the big story like this one, where it's not a small story, but comparatively speaking to what else was going on.
Yeah, there's like a million stories,
it's kind of really unique to see that kind of brought back out and reignited, you know?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you because we're about the same age, but I was very young when this happened. And so I don't really remember, you know? And so it was a great experience to hear these stories and kind of get to understand a little bit more about what this really was like. And I think that's what great art can do, is kind of help you understand more about experiences and situations that you weren't a part of, but you can connect with people emotionally and kind of have that like understanding about someone else's experience, you know?
And when you're looking at the crowd, what was the crowd's takeaway? Like, because sometimes I like just to read the crowd, you know, and see how it's going. Could you take away like, okay, it was kind of a remembrance thing? Were they kind of getting back into it for the ones that did remember? Was there a lot of head nodding? Like,
yeah, it was interesting because on the way out, you know, you're filing out with like thousands of other people, and you can kind of
hold that many people.
It's big.
Wow,
it's big. It's great. But yeah, so you're filing out with people, and you know, you kind of hear the conversations around you, and people are saying like, yeah, I was on a plane too when this happened, or oh yeah, I was, you know, I remember that day, or me and my family, we kind of talked about it too, like what was going on that day in our family. You know, it's just, you know, I think it just reminded people of all of that, and so it just is great to see how art can connect people like that. And it was a really incredible show, and it was really cool that the Muni got to premiere it in St. Louis too.
Someone just texted me and said I can hear this in through my phone screen.
Really? It's wild. Yeah, it's loud. He was right.
I'm not lying. Right. So I mean, I am exaggeratory, but I'm not, you know, I'm trying to be accurate here. So they start their shows at 8:15.
Yeah, so it's kind of,
gotcha. So that way it's not in the peak of the day or in the summer.
Yeah, it's not too hot. And so yeah, it's kind of interesting because like the show comes on and the sun is setting, and they're like, also, this is cool. You know, the stage it's all outside. So there are trees growing behind the stage that you can see behind the stage. And it just is awesome. And I will say one time I was there for Young Frankenstein a couple of years ago. Great show.
What is that one about? I've heard a lot about that.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh, you would love that. But yeah, it's really good. But anyway, so I watched the musical version, Young Frankenstein, and right as they were, you know, making the Frankenstein, there was lightning overhead, and it was like just awesome and thematic and very cool. So not to get into it, but I love theater and stuff like that.
No,
so
I think it's awesome.
I was really into it.
Well, I think I would too if I was more willing to go do those, because it's just, you know, finding the time, and then like you're saying, you know, you're going on. Do they have Saturday shows? I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I'm learning about the Muni for the first time.
Yeah, I got you. They have shows all week, but yeah, it's I have a show later this summer. I'm going to see Dear Evan Hansen on a Saturday, so I look forward to that, being able to sleep in the next morning. But yeah, it is hard on a weeknight to kind of make it happen. So what are you gonna do?
So what time? How long is the show?
A couple hours. This one was actually shorter than I imagined because they didn't take an intermission, so it just went all the way through. And so we got out of there around like 10:30 on a Sunday.
That's not a couple of hours. That is 2 hours and I don't know, about 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's by the time you get out of like the traffic.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, you know, but that being said, usually it's a longer show and they do take an intermission. So usually you get out of there about like 11 or so, and then you got to drive from St. Louis to home. So it's kind of a late night, and it's like, and usually you're like sweaty, so you got to take a shower because you've been outside, you know. So it's kind of a late night, but it's worth it to be able to see some regional theater.
I completely agree. And honestly, it's really cool to know like Broadway stars are coming down. And,
Isn't that neat?
and I'm sure it's a great experience for them to do something that's not necessarily in that traditional theater setting too, in an outdoor theater. That's really cool.
I think that's the coolest thing, to go through and see, you know, these people that are on Broadway stages doing the shows.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. So, yeah.
So with that being said, you probably got home around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you have to get back to the grindstone in the morning.
Yep.
What is your routine after a night out? Because, okay, as you know, I have not gone out as like I used to in months, and I thought I could stay up a little bit later last night. I thought, oh God, I got this.
Good
And
for you.
I'm telling you, I woke up today and I felt like I don't even know how I used to do it.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, like, what's your routine here? Because I had a GBH from Germania today, free plug to them. They don't pay us, but I just thought, you know, that'll
Those
help.
are good, though.
Didn't
No,
help.
didn't help?
No, I think I'm going to need a shot of adrenaline or something to get me through this day.
No, I will be honest with you. I rely completely on caffeine. Shout out to caffeine. Love me some coffee. So the next morning, I've been making my own coffee at home. So be proud of me. I've been saving some money. Thank you.
Wait, hold on here, because I heard part of this conversation. It ain't coffee. It's it's like, what is this?
Okay. So
Yeah, you're bougie over there.
Yeah, it is bougie. So I recently got a Nespresso machine.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is very fun for me. It is, so it makes an espresso shot, and you put in the syrup, and you put in the milk and the ice, and so you make yourself I'm making a little mocha basically every morning. So it's very fancy. But okay, Mr. GBH, that's not exactly black coffee.
I had to refinance my house for that GBH.
Yeah, literally. It's not exactly. You're not better than me, but yeah.
No, did you get the Drew Barrymore?
No, excuse me?
The Drew Barrymore Slim Espresso Maker. I'm looking up how much these things cost.
Yeah, no, this was actually a gift. So
okay. So you don't have to.
Save some money. But
good for you.
That being said, you have to buy the pods, you know, and so that's like not cheap. So it kind of adds up, but it's cheaper than going to, you know, one of the local stores, which I should say, I love the local stores.
Yeah, you better get that out.
Let me just clarify.
You better get that
love
out.
going there, love getting a treat every now and then. It's a good time, but it just.
Germania is affordable. I just made a joke. I'm glad you called out that. You know, I brought that up. I probably shouldn't joke like that on this.
Yeah, sorry. Let's just
I'm gonna get someone
clarify.
outside Riverbender with friggin' signs here soon. You know?
Let me just clarify. Yeah, I love going to these stores, and trust me, I've spent my share of money at these stores too. But I love checking them out and doing what I can.
So my question is, like, I had one espresso in my life, okay? And now I think I did it wrong because I thought that I was a caffeine fiend and I needed more than one shot of espresso.
Oh, no.
I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So speaking of Germania, they have little plug for Germania. They have double shots on Monday.
We'll bill them later.
For free. And so,
what?
Yeah, if you go, they'll say, do you want your double shot for Monday? And I always said, yes, I do. And then the whole day I would be like nauseous by lunchtime because I would just be shaking the entire time. But that being said, yeah, the espresso shots, they get the job done. They caffeinate you.
Well, and it's a little bit different because, you know, I'm not drinking as many energy drinks as I used to be, which is good. But like the C4s, I had one to get me back because I drove, you know, the long way from Alabama back home. And I'm telling you what, I was sicker than a dog.
Yeah.
Like, those things aren't anything to mess around with. And like, it reminded me seriously of my espresso day because I honestly thought I was going crazy.
No, those, like, low-key, too much caffeine can definitely, we talk about this at lunch sometimes, like, all of us, but too much caffeine can make you sick. So it is, like, kind of nerve-wracking. Got to be careful. That being said, I do rely on it to get up and going in the morning, and especially after a day like that, I was like, all right, let's get the caffeine flowing. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. So with that being said, you had fun at the show.
I did.
And did you go with friends, by yourself?
I went with my family, which was nice.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was my mom's birthday present to go. So
nice.
Fun. Yeah.
Did you get that present for her?
I did not. I actually got her tickets to go see Dear Evan Hansen later in the summer. So we're gonna go twice. So
Munying it up for mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Muni for mom. That's
Muni
the shirt.
For mom. Yeah,
that's the shirt.
They should advertise like that. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'd be a great marketing person.
Yeah,
for
you should.
Some big company with a lot of money. I just want to throw that out.
You got this.
But you know, honestly, with that being said, too, has the Muni always been something that you fell in love with, or is that something you found later?
No, that's interesting you ask. It's very fun. Growing up, my mom really likes these shows and stuff. So my dad every now and then would get her, like, for their anniversary or whatever, like a season pass to go. And that was cool because they would go and enjoy it. But sometimes, like, if one of them was working late or one of them had, like, obligations with a friend or something like that, I got to go instead. And that was really fun to be able to grow up going every now and then and checking out these shows. And so, yeah, ever since I was, like, younger, but especially, like, when I was in high school, I got really into musical theater and stuff like that. And I was doing all the plays in school and, you know, singing the songs in choir and that kind of thing. I was a total theater nerd. I didn't own it. I was not
That's cool, though. No, that's cool. It's better than I mean, you could be doing a lot worse than theater.
That's
you know?
true, yeah.
And honestly, I think it's kind of cool because, like, all the theater kids, you know, like, it was, like, that was a big crew at Alton High.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big connection for sure. You get close just because you're doing stuff all the time. So it's very fun. But yeah, it was a good time.
Now, what's your favorite Muni show ever?
Favorite Muni show ever? That's hard. They did Rent, I think, a couple years ago, which was pretty incredible. Newsies was really good. Yeah, I've seen some really good ones there. I'll be honest with you. They put on some really good shows.
Huh. Good.
Yeah.
Shout out. Got a moment to take a break?
Absolutely.
All righty here. I got to pay a bill, but you know what? Curiosity did kill the cat, and she was, in fact, a good reporter. So that's good. We're going to talk about that one next, because I'm pretty fascinated about this one that we missed. Hey, it's 9:42. We'll talk about, you know, pretty much anything else when we come back from this break. Oh, while I have you, drum roll for the Queen of Junk. You know, Denise Sparks, those purple and yellow trash cans, mating like bunny rabbits. I like using that expression because they just pop up, pop, pop, bing, 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 all across the 618. And you know, at Sparks Junk Removal, it's all about customer service done right. You know, when you call Sparks Junk Removal, guess what you get, Sydney? The Queen of Junk herself and the office. They don't say, well, we're going to put you on hold and we're going to give you a number that you got to remember. I hope you have a PIN because we can't just text it to your phone and we'll call you back in 3 days. And the 3 days come and they never happen. You know, listen, I'm not talking crap on the big guys. I'm just saying Denise Sparks brings back that small town business feel and she's doing it right. For 30 plus years, she's been the Queen of Junk. And for the next 30, she's the Queen of Junk and Trash. You know, listen, that Bowflex that you tried once after Christmas, gotta go. That was 30 years ago. That hot tub that's been broken down because you wanted to make that backyard utopia and realized how much work that was since the first Clinton administration. Gotta go. You know, the neighbors are getting ready to report you to the city, and the Queen of Junk can help you with all of that stuff. All you have to do is call 618-781-1407. That's 618-781-1407 for the junk removal services, or just go to sparksjunkremoval.net for their weekly trash pickup. See if you qualify, if you're in your service area. And when you get the Queen of Junk, don't forget to tell her that you know who sent you over their way. A quick break. We'll come back with more Blog Talk next.
Not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, I am signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. Here I am, baby. Oh, you got the future in your hands.
Attila Fest is coming to Alton Amphitheater on July 26th. Presented by D. Smith Promotions, hosted by Reason to Doubt Podcast. Don't miss your chance to see Big Boogie and Boozy Badass live on stage with special guests Dirty Mugs, Borderline, Marquise Knox, and NKG Band. For VIP and slots, call Queen at 314-967-8999. Attila Fest. Don't miss it.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car. I have a job. There's nothing holding me back anymore.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Don't drink whiskey. I don't know how it feels to hurt. But I ain't been lonely since you said goodbye. Wish I could say I miss you. Oh, but you know I never lie.
Welcome back. I wish you guys could hear my conversations off the air. I feel like that would be the better show.
That would be interesting.
No, it wouldn't be on the air very long, but it'd be a damn good show. With that being said, I really liked this one that you wrote when I was gone. I always like that you write the good ones when I'm gone.
Only for you.
You wrote a little bit about just kind of how you make your interactions with the people you write about or the people that want you to write about something.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and at least to me, it's interesting.
I think so. Yeah.
It's so in conclusion, I'm a very nosy person. So I think you kind of have
She
to
has
be...
a cup and she puts it up to the wall in the office so she can hear Mike and I's conversation.
Exactly. I'm like, let me in. No, but I think that just is one of the requirements of being a reporter or doing what you do is you just have to be a little curious. So I like to find out more. So pretty much once a day, at least once a day, I will say some variation of like, hi, this is Sydney with RiverBender.com, and then that usually starts a conversation and people will want to know more and I want to know more about them. And so we have a great conversation where I just ask a lot of questions and I learn a lot about the people in our community, which is the coolest thing ever.
What happens when you get somebody that's like just a genuinely nervous person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we don't want to give you any details on this very positive story.
That's interesting because it definitely happens where people just are nervous about they're nervous about the recording going on because I record audio, just to get my notes and quotes, but then that kind of thing.
Notes and quotes.
That's what I always say. Get
there
my notes
go.
and quotes. But and that's completely understandable. I get that it's kind of a nerve-wracking and kind of a weird situation to be interviewed. It's a little strange, but a lot of the times I think you have to be the one who sets the tone,
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be the one that's like, how you doing? What's new? And, I'm good, right? It's the sun's shining. It's a good day, something like that. And kind of just ease into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps. And people kind of start to calm down and tell you more.
Well, you know what? This is kind of interesting for me. And this is kind of not a bragging thing, but like with the show, like I haven't had to make that many phone calls lately. So I think I'm a little rusty. Like I really don't know how that text would go. Like I have a copy and paste thing that I send to people. Sorry, you know that now. I just, and AI sends it out. And, it's kind of done. And so, like, when you call somebody, okay, you never met them.
Yeah.
And do you tell them, like, first in an email, I want to interview you, or do you just drop a line?
It depends. If I have a phone number, I'm just making a call because it's just as easier. If I have an email address, then sometimes I'll shoot them an email and just introduce myself. But a lot of the times, if I can get a phone number first, then that's my first move, just because it like amps up the response time a lot, So I'll just give them a call and I usually start off and say, hi, my name's Sydney. I'm a reporter with RiverBender. How you doing? And they're like,
what did I do?
I'm fine. How are you? and then I'll finish with that and say, I got your number from so-and-so, or I'm calling because I saw that you did XYZ or you're involved with XYZ. And I think that's really cool. And I'd love to hear more about it. So, a lot of times I love talking to passionate people, and a lot of people in our community are really passionate about what they do. So it's a great opportunity to just hear more about folks' interest interests and passions and the things that they care about. So it's great.
Well, and now you've been here 2 years now,
2
haven't
years.
you? And honestly, what I think's cool is that people have really come to know you as a reporter. I mean, that you aren't just kind of around and taking notes, like you're actively working.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. And now,
busy.
So I like this. My friends cast me exhausted looks when, halfway through a story, I interrupt again to clarify. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
See, I feel like if you're going to tell a story, you better tell it the right way.
I want the details.
Yeah, sorry.
You know?
We didn't come here for Cliff Notes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Tell me who this is, what they do, how you know them. Do I know them? Tell me more. So yeah, my friends, my nosiness in real life is maybe not as appreciated, but it's okay. They're getting patient with me, so I appreciate all my loved ones for being patient with me.
I do that to my family too. Like it could be a story about going to the damn park, and I'm like, okay, well, what color was the car you were driving?
Tell me more. I want to know more. So it's kind of interesting. But one of the other great things I've learned through doing this job is just how to listen a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, I think most of the time when we're talking to people, we are kind of thinking in the background, okay, what am I going to say next? And that was one of the things that my journalism professor, Dr. Scott Lambert at Millikan University, shout out.
Dr. Lambert.
If he would listen to this for some reason, just shout
Throw him
out.
down.
I'll let him know. But no, he taught me that early on, was just just listen.
Yeah.
Just shut up and listen to somebody, and you'll find out a lot more.
Well, I still have the best quote ever. Those who
let's
don't
hear it.
listen have bias.
Yeah, that's
Just
a good
always
point.
saying that.
That's a good point. I like that a lot. You
know?
should listen. That's how you learn more.
I just want
about
that on my
people.
statue outside the building.
I'll let John know.
But, I don't know. I just think it's really cool that you wrote about this, because sometimes I truly think people don't realize that, here at Riverbender, we're actively doing work. We aren't waiting for a voicemail, and we aren't just putting the voicemail online and with a note. I mean, you're actively gathering notes. You're actively putting the story together. I think that's so different. And honestly, there's a new reporter here in the area that I think's doing a very good job of that too. Yeah. And now I don't agree with a lot of the stories and why we're writing them, but I do think he does a great job reporting them.
Yeah, shout out.
So it's one of those things where I think some people, they'll go, oh, well, I'm going to read this and it has 2 sentences in it. And really what it is a lot of times it's hard work that's being done by another reporter initially, and it's being kind of transcribed in a voicemail. And I don't think that's good for the audience to know. It's good to know what actual reporting looks like and how long it takes to get a story done sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting how, a lot of the times I start with a phone call or I organize an interview to meet somebody, and it's so cool because you just get to talk to somebody. And my interviews range from anywhere from 10 minutes to sometimes I'm
you've been on the phone forever.
For 30 minutes or longer. And it's great just because you get to know people. And I don't want to cut anybody off because it's no, tell me more. I want to know these details. I want you to round out the story for me. And some of those details end up in the story and some of them don't, but it gives me a better understanding of who this person is. And I mean, what a value that is to get to know somebody in this day and age,
Right. Well, and honestly, it goes back to when I was putting when I put best ofs together, that's why I never touched the first year. Because even though I've been doing it for quite some time, doing it by yourself is a lot harder than doing it with somebody when you co-host, because you're, as a coach, you want to kind of shut up and all that. Because when I was with Ray, I maybe spoke a couple of minutes, and then, if I had one question, I'd throw it in. But you don't realize how awful it sounds to cut somebody off on the air, and you're like, dude, what were you doing? They had a great story they were telling. You know what I'm saying?
All been there.
Now, do you go back on your stories when you first started writing for us and go, God, what was I doing here?
There are a few stories where I'm like, ooh, I didn't know what I was asking. I didn't know enough about the community yet. And now I know a lot more about the community and just some of the relationships and the businesses and just all kinds of things.
Someone responded, sent me a text, they said LOFNL. That's funny as heck. Thank you. I appreciate that today.
Staying out of that one. But no, there are definitely times. And then there are also times that one of my favorite stories that I wrote here, I wrote within the first 2 months of being here, and it still is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So
what'd you write?
It was what a homeless man's loved ones want you to know about his death.
That was a really good story.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
It really was.
That was really emotional and interesting. And I think the reason that story works so well is because I shut up, and I just listen to these people talk.
Well, I think sometimes people get nervous, it's in shows. It's don't talk about abortion, gun control, or politics and all. And I don't really necessarily agree with that. It's just about letting them, talk without being confrontational, so you can still share their story in a way that's not, convoluted for the audience and also derogatory to the audience too. There's two kind of lines you walk. But in reporting, like when you're writing about sensitive things like that, where it's someone's loved one or someone's benefit or a GoFundMe.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot that you have to do to not only humanize it, but humanize it in a way where it's not patronizing to that individual or their family too. I'm only guessing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to someone about this the other day, but it's interesting. I end up on the phone sometimes with families of someone who has passed away or something like that, and those stories are so. It's how to put this. It matters so much to make sure that you do it right and that you ask the right questions and that you're sensitive about it. And so those are hard phone calls to make, but really it just is being quiet and listening to somebody talk about their loved one and then going forward and writing about it in a way where you honor this person,
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. It's an interesting job. I had done that a couple times before I came here, but now that I've been here, I've done a few stories like that, like almost like obituaries of people. And it just is like, it's very intense sometimes, but it's hard to not feel it too.
Well, exactly, because it's not, you might not know the person or know the family, but by the end of it, you connect with them in a way where it means a lot to you, just like it means a lot to them. So there's totally pressure with that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but again, it all comes down to just getting to know somebody, and in this day and age where we're all on screens or disconnected or that kind of thing, which like me too, I also spend my time on my Instagram or whatever, but it really means something to get to know people.
Did I ever tell you the best thing I ever did was just having Facebook and Snapchat? That's all I have. And YouTube Shorts. I can sit there forever, but anyway, it's just really cool when you wrote about that. Just hear a little bit more about how you write and just a little bit of how being the best writer is actually being the best listener too.
Thanks. It's all about listening.
So I got to complain about Mississippi because no one was in here to hear my rant.
Let's hear it.
And I'm going to tell you this. I think that Mississippi is the worst state in the union.
That's a hot take. Let's hear it.
I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
We went on this trail, and I'm glad you're here now that I can tell you.
Yeah,
but,
I'm happy to be
so we go down and we get into the rental car, which by the way was an electric Jeep, a hybrid. I thought
fun.
I didn't like the car at first because I was supposed to get a little Altima and we were going to be fine. I'm like, how much gas is this going to cost me? Another Joe Exotic moment of I'm never going to financially recover.
We've all been there.
Turns out it gets great gas. It was a great car. But Google Maps said you want to save an hour and 4 minutes on your drive. Or Apple Map. Don't ever click that button. Don't ever click that button. It will equal out to be in the same time.
Really?
So anyway, we get finally into Mississippi. There is not a good part of this road, number one. People don't know how to drive, number two. We stopped by a Taco Bell, okay? And I was met with a, what do you want? Okay, like number one, I didn't force you to work there. Okay, I didn't say you have to work at Taco Bell today to take my order. So I'm like, can we have a second? Well, and she didn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait, and finally got the order. Not even a thank you, not even the price of the bill. She just said, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, well, this is not what I was expecting here. I don't know what I did to offend this person. Then they just threw the food at me. It's like, who the hell are you? Well, then we're driving, we get down there. It was great. And this Airbnb that we stayed at was wonderful. It was in a nice part of the town and everything that we were at. And then I go to get gas. You should have seen it. It was like it was interesting to say the least about what was going on down there. So anyway, get out of Mississippi. Mm-hmm. We get to Alabama, have the best trip ever, except, I went parasailing and I'm scared of heights.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Well, it's the year of yes. I was telling people that, you rubbed off on me. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do this and not tell everybody about my drastic fear of heights. And so Jackie's having the time of her life swinging on this parasail, throwing her arms in the air. And this is me because I'm just not feeling it. Like, I feel like this buckle's going to go at any time and I'm plummeting to earth. And
I get that.
This is probably how I go. But, it was really at the time when you're coming down from that. You can watch that one on demand, RiverBender.com/daily show. Out of time. We'll talk Monday. Have a great, safe 4th of July. Enjoy it with your family and try your best to stay out of jail.